Mary Strickland, and I am also from Flower Mound. I got involved last January when they were going to try to put a wastewater collection facility in Flower Mound, and then proceeded to work with the election and some of the other things. Little did I know that my grandson contracted leukemia. He is in Flower Mound with his parents. I had to email my daughter to see if it was okay to talk about it tonight. I wasn't intending to do that, but she said it was fine. Her pediatrician believes it is linked to gas well drilling in Flower Mound area. We won't probably ever be able to prove it, but that's what they believe. And they also recommend her pediatrician get a baseline blood on their daughter, who's 18 months old. So my grandson's 4. He is starting the process of a 3.5-year chemo treatment. It's 3.5 years long. He will be 8 when he finishes. He's in phase 3. Phase 1 was 28 days of steroids twice a day. A couple spinal taps where they injected chemo into his central nervous system so that it would go into his brain. He has a permanent port in his chest. Then after 28 days, which changes their personality, he also got this other one that made him not walk. And he became a little devil 4-year-old. You know what? The steroids changed their personality. Then he went through 4 weeks of, then phase 2, 4 weeks of a spinal tap again. He had 2 spinals before that. 4 weeks of spinal taps once a week to inject chemo into his central nervous system. And now he's in phase 3. Every 10 days they're giving him this chemotherapy. They started out low and then they increase it until he can't take it anymore. Again, this is the one that'll make him not walk. He'll finish that in December, a couple weeks before Christmas, and then just in time for the holidays we'll be back on steroids. And then he'll go through that for 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, I don't know, sometime late January. And hopefully by the end of late January he will be in phase 5, which will last 3 years. And in phase 5, he will have a week of steroids out of every 28 days. And he'll be taking a daily chemo pill on top of that. And then at the end of every 3 28-day cycles, he'll have another spinal tap to inject chemo into his central nervous system. And that will go on for 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, hopefully everything will be okay. And then he will come off of that. He will be about 8 years old. All he will remember from the last 4 years is trips to Children's. A child should not have to go through that. I was looking up the cost of leukemia on Googling it to find out what the cost. His first trip to the hospital was $90,000. There is a cost to this, to the community. I found the cost of leukemia, the average cost of a child with leukemia on the EPA's website, and it's around $600,000 plus is what they estimate. Why would it be on the EPA's website? Leukemia is not hereditary, it's environmental. Something triggers the blood in the system to go bad. There is a leukemia cluster study, or was one in Flower Mound. He was not part of that because that was leukemia in the past and he was just diagnosed in July. That wasn't the reason I was coming to talk, but I think it's important for you guys to understand, and especially the EPA. There is dangers. I mean, they need to come to Flower Mound and study Flower Mound. We have cancer, we have leukemia, we have other things going on. He also lives a couple doors down. He'll be within 1.2 miles of the drilling of 20 wells. What I came to talk about, though, was I filed a complaint with TCEQ on September 2nd. September 3rd, I got my list. I've learned that you have to keep a list of everything, so I started an Excel spreadsheet. So I called the TCEQ on Thursday, September 2nd. I was driving to work on Thursday, September 2nd. I go across the dam, and I go across the dam through Grapevine, and I work in South Lake. And on my way across the dam, and I'd noticed it several days in a row, thick black smoke coming from Grapevine Mills. And you very clearly see it every single morning. And I saw it multiple days. A friend of mine who works at the airport was seeing it from 7th story. So on September 3rd, Friday morning, I'd had enough. I said, no, this isn't stopping. So I called the TCEQ and filed a complaint. I actually stopped by the Grapevine fire station and talked to them about it. They said, don't come to us, go to the TCEQ. So it wasn't an emergency, nothing was blowing up. You know, did I see anything on fire? No. Saw thick black smoke. But I did stop by the Grapevine fire station first thing because it was right there on my way. And I was told, don't call us, go to the TCEQ. We may do a drive-by later, but nobody's calling in fire, so. The guy was very pleasant, I will tell you that. And he said they would send somebody out to check it out. I obviously couldn't smell it. I was on the dam. And you guys only look at if it wells in production, and that's what you monitor. That's what the guy told me. He said, but you will file a complaint if there is smoke or air or smell, which he did follow up, and they did take an air sample. They took an air sample on September 14th, 12 days or 11 days after I filed my complaint. There was no more fracking going on. There was no more black smoke.